Hey YouTube, what's going on? In today's video, we're going to look at a review of Sofirn's newest tactical style light, the Sofirn SC28. And initially, we're going to cover all the basic specifications of the light. However, part of this video, we will talk about how I think this might be the perfect flashlight for correctional officers. So let's jump into it. Now, this light comes with a listed 2800 lumens on turbo mode, which can reach out to 223 meters. But you are looking about maybe 2 minutes, a minute and a half to 2 minutes of turbo time before step down. Here's a runtime chart. Now, if we look into the head here, we can see that this has webbing around a TIR lens, and that emitter down there is actually the XHP 50.2 emitter. So with this emitter, I think it's a wonderful all-around emitter. My personal choice for tactical style lights is the SFT 40 emitter, which is more of a throwy, high candela beam. However, when looking at just general purpose emitter, I think that the XHP 50.2 does the job just about better than anything else. It's got high output, it's got great beam profile, it's more on the floody side, but with that TIR lens, it allows it to be both a little bit floody and throwy. It's great all around. I think that this TIR lens with the webbing that we see in here really allows it to be a good combo style emitter as well. And we're going to talk about why I think that's beneficial in this light specifically here in a bit. Now, if you'll notice here, they did put a strike bezel on the light. And I've been saying for a while that I think that the strike bezel on the Sofirn SC32 is one of the best I've seen. It's just perfectly implemented, and this is just a bigger version of that. Obviously, the SC32 is quite a bit smaller than this light, but if you look at this, it not only looks, but it feels just like an enlarged version of the SC32 strike bezel. So I really like that. Additionally, turn on the light for a moment, and we'll see that their battery indicator is right here, real small. The battery indicator only stays on for a few seconds. But if it comes up green, then it means you're somewhere between 50 to 100% battery life remaining. If it comes up red, you're between 25 to 50%. And if it's flashing red, you're under 25%. I love that a lot of companies, especially Sofirn and Workhorse, have been implementing these little side flaps right here that are so much more discreet. They don't have the big giant flap on the back that accidentally gets popped open. You have to intend to open this. So I really like the USB flap on this. If we take a look at the tube here, I think that this knurling that they did is really great. It is kind of enlarged and flared. You definitely feel it there, but it's not so aggressive that it's uncomfortable to hold or anything like that. But it's enough to where, whether it be bare hands or in gloves, it's really easy to get a good grip on. It's really easy to hold on to. It feels like an anti-slip grip. It's really nice. And again, it reminds me a bit of a little bit of the lines that they did on the SC32, but if they were to enlarge that and make it so much bigger. So really great job with this this tube style here. I think for being a tactical style light, this is exactly what you'd want. And one thing I want to note is that you'll see between the head right here and between the top part of the tail, you'll see on the inner rings of the knurling on the tube, the diameter is a little bit smaller, and that allows you to lock your hands in there a little bit better as well. As far as this clip goes, it is a one-way clip, but it's got really, really good retention on there. If we take a look at this clip right here, and we compare it to a pretty good two-way clip that we see on the FC12, the FC12's clip gives you a bit more versatility with being a two-way, but I think that this retention that you see with the FC12, it's not able to get the same retention that you can get on this one-way clip right here. I don't think this is necessarily the kind of light you need to put on a hat. Not every light needs to be clipped to a hat. And so for this style of tactical style light, I think this is perfectly fine. I'm sure you've already noticed, but it can tail stand, even with that button being down there. No problem at all. Now, one thing I want to note is if we pop off this tail cap here, That is a 21700 battery, okay? That's an 18650 battery. Usually, a 21700 light is going to be significantly larger. Check out the size difference here. The SC28 is your 21700 size, and your FC12 is your 18650 size light. It's shorter by quite a bit. Now, I do know with this side switch here, that probably does cause it to be a little bit longer, and also it's giving you an SFT40 with a bit deeper of a reflector on the head. But regardless, even the diameter of the light, look at the tube size. It might even be a little bit thinner on the SC28, if not right around the same size. And something else I'll note too, I really like the grip that they gave on the FC12. For a budget style light, this is really good. It does everything you need it to do. But this knurling here on the SC28 just does it a bit better. Now, one of the most important things to look at on this light, being that it is tail switch only, is the tail switch. So on this button here, and I kind of covered this a little bit in the unboxing video, but something that's really important when you get a light that the manufacturer wants to consider a tactical style light is that, okay, you're then saying this is going to be used for people in high adrenaline situations. So if it's high adrenaline, I want to be able to, when I click this button, no matter if I accidentally get it a little bit from the corner, the side, whatever, I want this light to turn on. And they did a great job with this. Whereas with like the FC12 or the SC31-2, there's so much dead space here, right? And as you can see, I'm pressing all the way down on that button and nothing's coming on. But if I press down the middle, it comes on. With the SC28, however, it does still have dead space, but even if you get it all the way in the very edge, let's get on this side, it comes on no matter what. Even though it's not the best feeling button, it's still got that middle area that protrudes a lot. It's got dead space all the way around, but when you get your finger on that dead space, it turns the light on no matter what. That is the biggest and most important thing with these tail switches. If you're in a high adrenaline situation, you want that to turn on. And you don't always have time to sit there and make sure that you get your finger perfectly aligned in the middle. You just need to get that thing on. See, I just got it from the corner there, and it turned on great. So great job with that, Sofirn. You did exactly what needs to do. But I do have to comment on the fact that it's a weird feeling button. Because you feel that area that protrudes so much in the middle, but it feels like, I don't even know how to describe it. Like there's almost like this saggy skin or something that's over top this little protruding area in the middle. So when you press down the button, and you can see there, the way that the button deflates, it just feels so weird on every button click. Like it works perfectly fine. It's a great button. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. It's just got a weird feel to it. I think that they need to change something about the rubber on this button to where the way that it deflates in your when you press it down, that it's not so weird. But that's not that big of a deal. That's my personal preference. They did what matters most on this being a tactical style light, and they made sure that no matter where you click on that button, that it is going to turn on. Now let's take a look at the user interface. Since this is a tail switch only light, that means that everything has to be run out of the tail switch, okay? So that means when it comes to changing modes, when it comes to doing everything else, everything has to run through this. But keep in mind, because they wanted momentary on this, when you have momentary in a light, when you have a forward clicky like that, it means that you cannot just half press the button in when you have it on or off to switch between modes, because if you half press in, that's your momentary. Whereas, like, for example, on my Convoy S21B that I have set up, I can half click in the buttons to change modes very, very fast, but I don't have the ability to do momentary on it, being a reverse clicky. So let's take a look at this user interface real quick. It's got 3 different modes on it. So you have your standard mode, your group 1, which is what, general people are going to use. Then you have your mode 2, which is your tactical style. And you have your mode 3, which is your simple mode, but I'm also going to call it correctional officer mode. Let's take a look at those 3 different modes shown on the screen. So right now, we're in group 1. We're in the normal mode. So in order to do this, there's 2 different ways that you can swap between your different light output modes on group 1. So you can either turn the light on, and we're on the eco mode there, and then you can quickly double click to get to your next light output. Let me see if I can focus in a little bit better here. Okay, so you're cycling between your eco, low, medium, high, turbo modes. What I think is a little bit easier is from off, you just do your half clicks and you do it really quickly to cycle through modes. So from off, and you just stop wherever you want it. So I think I accidentally pulled myself out of group 1. So here it is just to confirm. We've got eco, low, medium, high, turbo, back to eco, okay? So really simple functions. Now to swap between group 1, group 2, and group 3, what you're going to do is you're going to turn the light on. And after turning this light on, the light output after a few seconds is going to give you a flash. When that flash, you have to turn the light off and turn it back on to get into the next group. So let's wait for that flash. There it is. And now I just switched into group 2. So now we're in tactical mode. So you see, I went to strobe, like the medium or high, and then turbo, and then back to strobe. So it's only those 3 settings. Now let's wait for it to do it again, and we'll go into group 3. Okay, we're in group 3. So now we're in this mode where it's simple mode, or I'm going to call it correctional officer mode as well. So what I think is really interesting about this group 3 mode, and usually you've seen on these tactical lights, they'll come with 2 different modes, and that's your standard and your tactical. But now that they added this simple mode, I think that this makes this just about the perfect tactical light, especially for a correctional officer. Something that someone pointed out to me recently that is a correctional officer, they said, look, I've got to go through and do these nighttime shifts where I've got to shine my light in each of these windows to look at the inmates and to shine it into their rooms. And I don't want to blast them with an SFT40 on full turbo mode with instant access with high candela and a very narrow, tight beam. I want to be able to shine it in there. Have it not blast the inmates with super high candela. I don't want a tight beam on those. I want it to be able to give me a nice spread to be able to see what I'm looking at while on a lower mode, to have instant access into a lower mode. But then also to still be a tail switch only tactical style light that I could swap into a tactical mode when I'm not doing my night shift and I'm just on duty, at the desk, whatever, and I can then switch it to an instant access turbo mode and so on. So I think that this allows us to do this because now we can turn the light on and immediately have access to, that low or medium modes, and that's the most that you get, and it comes out with that perfect combination of an instant access to those, and you're not going to accidentally double click and go into turbo. You're stuck between your low and medium modes. But then also that XHP 50.2 is that perfect all around good spread emitter choice to go with that group and to be able to use for a correctional officer and to be able to shine in the room. I think it's perfect for that. What's great about this is that you can then switch back to group 1 or even the tactical mode of group 2 when you go back to your desk, or when you go back to, you know, other parts of your shift, or maybe you're on the maybe you go to leave and you want to switch it back to group 1 to use at your house and just have a normal mode, whatever. I think that this is a great tactical style light. I think it's almost perfect for a correctional officer based on all these things that we've talked about. But it's a good all-around tactical style light. I do love a good dual switch light, but if you want tail switch only, I think that they pretty much did just about everything that they could with this light, while also giving it a momentary mode, because in order to have faster swaps for your user interface, they wouldn't be able to have that momentary mode. But I'd imagine a lot of you in tactical situations, if you're a police officer, correctional officer, whatever, you want the ability to use that that momentary mode. Final thoughts are on this, that it's intended to be a fully tactical light. And I think that if you're familiar with the Workos TD02 that just recently came out, I think that Sofirn took everything that was supposed to be and put it in the Sofirn SC28. This is everything that the TD02 was not. Okay? It's everything that it should have been. And the combo of the XHP 50.2 emitter plus having the 3 different group modes, I think makes this a perfect light for correctional officers and just makes it an all-around great tactical light. I wouldn't mind if they made a version 2 or Pro version where it is SFT40 for those of us who prefer that, but I think XHP 50.2 is still a wonderful option. So what we'll do now is we'll take a look at the Beamshots.
Okay, we're outside with the SC28, and here we go directly into eco mode. Not a whole lot going on there. You can see it's pretty good right in front of you. It's good for indoors. I think it's 10 or 11 lumens, but we're not really even getting the little pull over there. Okay. Let me switch through the modes here. Okay, so we're in low mode now, which by low it's really 100 lumens. And we're probably getting close to about half the yard back there. Lighten up the tree. Definitely not terrible, plenty usable. And now we're in medium mode. And you can see that stretches back a lot further, but it really has some great flood on it and just an overall really nice profile. Looks really good on that tree in medium mode. And if I remember correctly, it's about 6 hours or 8 hours or something like that that'll sustain medium mode like this. I believe that's over 300 lumens off the top of my head, so that's pretty good. High mode. So really good. We're getting the whole yard there on high mode. And turbo. And that just really lights up everything. You can see it gives you plenty of distance while also giving you a lot of flood. Just a really good beam profile. It's usable in just pretty much every situation. So great light.
Coming up will be some videos comparing the Sofirn SC28 with some other tactical style lights that I think this compares well with. It'll actually be a total of 3 videos, so keep an eye out for those over the next few weeks, and thank you for watching.